I don't think so at this
Audio
time.
test 3.
Can I grab you something? Thank you.
Audio test 4.
Morning, how are you?
Audio test 5.
Now, do you want these with the agenda? Or do you want them put in states?
Gonna go ahead and start us off, and I'm gonna start with just around, if folks could, for roll call, just go around the table. I'm gonna start with you, Maribel.
Good morning. Mayor Hillsborough.
Thank you.
My name's Marilyn Carter, Orange County. Amy Fowler, Orange County, and Sally did tell me she's on her way.
Okay, perfect.
Melissa McCullough, Chapel Hill.
Eric Vitale, Technical Committee Chair.
Javier Caballero, City of Durham, TPO Chair.
Doug Klaczynski, Triangle West Director.
Carl Riss, City of Durham.
Wendy Jacobs, Durham County.
Danny Nowell, Town of Carborough.
Thank you. And some modest running tech for us this morning. Thank you. Good morning. Good to see you. And then just a reminder about the ethics. And then I think it's due, the annual filing is due by April 15th, if I'm not mistaken. Yes? Okay, I'm getting a nod, so yes. But just a reminder to folks. Next up, do I have any adjustments to the agenda?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And then next up, public comments.
The public comments are not for the public hearing for the triennial certification. So this is just general public
Just
comments.
general
We'll
public.
open the public hearing when we get to that agenda.
Okay, thank you. Just anyone, I thought I saw a resident. Anyone here for general public comment, not tied to a specific agenda item? Okay. And then reports from staff, passing it over to you.
Okay, great. Along with my written report attached to the agenda, there's a draft project agreement that the board had asked for. We've already gotten some feedback from the City of Durham staff and city attorneys. So we'll be incorporating some of those changes in. Some other things I'd like to mention outside of the written report. I'm sad to let the board know that Brian Rhodes, longtime GIS staff person to the DCHC MPO, passed away last week. His service will be Wednesday, tomorrow morning at 11. I can pass along details.
Please, yeah.
Several of us will be attending. Thank you for already mentioning the ethics reminder to get your forms in by the 15th of April. Also, for the board members that haven't ordered any merchandise yet off the link that was sent, we have a minimum to order, so you can pick stuff out or we can pick stuff out that you can have access to. It is my pleasure to inform the board that we have solidified a date for a joint regional safety summit with the Capital Area MPO. It will be November 13th. We hope to have the venue finalized this week. And we are very excited about the partnership. It's going very well.
November 13th.
November 13th, should be a Friday. Last week, I was in Washington for the National Association of NPOs policy fly-in. I want to inform the board that it is exceedingly unlikely that there will be a federal transportation reauthorization this year. Not unsurprisingly, Congress is working on some other issues at the moment. But we are optimistic that this second quarter of this year, we should get some markup language for the IIJA reauthorization, which everyone is still hoping will be a full 5-year authorization.
What does IIJA stand for? Sorry.
Infrastructure and Jobs Act.
Okay. Thank you.
Now that we've adopted the MTP, some folks have reached out to us for presentations to boards and commissions. We will follow up and make sure that staff people at the various members are aware that we would like to come out and present the MTP. And the last thing I'd like to update is that I've scheduled a meeting with the Chief Engineer's Office at NCDOT to talk about our project development protocols here at Triangle West and how to improve project delivery for large NCDOT projects. So I'm excited about that. Fountain Works will be facilitating a discussion and more to come. So with that, that is it.
Thank you. The only thing I have to report is that the joint CAMPO meeting that we would have made, that was at least tentatively on hold on our calendars for April, is not happening. We will be meeting with them in September. I think it's September 30th, whatever that 5th Wednesday is. That was decided by, folks didn't think we had enough of an agenda to go ahead and meet. But I will be asking folks as we get closer to any members, and I really go ahead and encourage y'all to get that meeting on your calendar because we will be having it, because we won't be having it in April. Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs, go ahead.
What's it as the
Last Wednesday of September, I think it's September 30th.
It is, it's the 30th.
Yeah, Chair, I was just gonna request if staff could send us calendar invites for that, as well as the safety summit.
Yes.
And also, I just had a question for the director's report. Could you resend the link for this, for whatever that you sent
Totally.
of staff, and also for the ethics reminder? And I just want to comment in terms of your mentioning presentations about the MTP that we had. Colleen came and presented to the Durham Bike Pedestrian Advisory Commission. She did a fantastic job. She was, thank you, Colleen, it was fantastic. So I do encourage folks to invite our staff to come and present at whatever setting makes sense for you.
Yes, and we will be presenting to the joint City County Land Use Committee.
Fantastic.
I said, yeah, Durham.
I think that's it for my announcements. Next up, we have oh, sorry.
I wanted to just follow up on the draft project agreement. I know, since this is on the agenda, I had a question about that. When reviewing it, with Wendy yesterday, wondering if there's gonna be a way that, like, more specifications about, like, okay, if a project by city or county isn't meeting the deadline, is it gonna be that, like, it comes back to this board to decide whether the, like, funding is returned back to TPO, or as per, and I said this yesterday to Wendy, that, like, it's kind of like an automatic system of, like, okay, if a project is falling behind on deadline, like, the city or county that is falling behind has like 2 weeks to provide clarification of why it's falling behind, and like an updated project timeline. If they're not able to do that, then funding returns so we can reallocate it to projects that are shovel ready and like moving forward.
Great. I'll add some language and send it to you guys in advance for your review. I believe Campo has a provision that's like an escalating. So.
And I'll just add, I mean, I think it's great that you're obviously trying to build in more accountability for all of us and how we spend the money. But yeah, we were just discussing like what is going to be the real mechanism around it. So.
And like, we also talked about, like, well, there's one of, like, I'm not kidding, but being back, but also like incentivizing if the, I don't know if there's been other TPOs like the Campo that's like found ways to like incentivize for city and county governments to stay on track.
Really, in this state, it's Charlotte and the Raleigh MPOs that are the ones that have those provisions set. The issue about falling behind is prevalent amongst the rest of us.
So that maybe there's like an incentive there that could help us stay on schedule, or what type of incentives do like the city of Raleigh and like Mecklenburg, Charlotte have in their provisions?
Mostly if you don't use it, you lose it.
Okay.
Or it has to go back into prioritization as a new.
Okay. And then like positive incentives also.
Well, I mean, the positive incentive for all of us is the more money we spend, the more money we'll get.
Yeah.
And the quicker we spend it.
Yes.
Thank you. Any reports from our TC chair?
No, nothing to report, thanks.
Next up, I have our NCDOT transportation reports. First up, I have Lisa Mathis with NCDOT Board of Transportation.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? Welcome to spring, finally. The winter weather impacted NCDOT rather aggressively this year. We had those several winter storms back to back. We used more than 10 million gallons of brine and over 100,000 tons of salt. You'll be happy to know we are all good. We had a little disinformation about salt, etc., and but we're all of our stores are all back together. Just a quick update on Helene recovery. Our latest cost estimate is nearly $5.8 billion. Of course, a lot of that is what's happening on Interstate 40 in the Pigeon River Gorge. We've got a lot of work going on out there. We're very pleased with the progress and happy that the weather is starting to turn so we can complete even more. I've got an update on the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure, our new federal guidance that was, well, following the updated guidance that was given last August, which gave states greater flexibility in station placement and removed some requirements such as the 50-mile spacing rule. NCDOT reassessed in North Carolina's alternative fuel corridors and found many areas are already well served by existing and contracted charging stations. And as a result, the department reduced planned NEVI-funded locations from 41 to 16 to better target communities that have limited or no EV charging access. So we're going to free up some funds to expand statewide coverage. We plan on issuing a request for the proposals for businesses interested in applying for NEVI funds to build and operate charging stations later this month. Rail systems grants, we announced a $16.3 million grant to improve rail infrastructure on 12 railroads and at the Port of Morehead City through the Freight and Rail Crossing Safety Improvement Program. The funded projects will upgrade more than 95 miles of track, improve 8 railroad bridges and culverts statewide. And they were supported by matching investments from participating railroads, the Ports Authority, and also the FRA. NCDOT will participate in America 250 North Carolina, led by the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, to honor our state's unique and influential role in the American story. That completes my report.
Thank you. Next up.
Question for Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa, I was just wondering, did this division, did our TPO receive any of those rail grants? That's really great to hear. Just wondering.
Investigate exactly how they were spread out, and yes, it is very exciting. We've got a lot happening with rail, and expect more to come in the next month. So we're very excited about what's happening in the rail program. But I'll investigate and find out which divisions they're in. When you say our division, that is also not my division. Did you know that? So we have several divisions. So I'll find out all the divisions that are incorporated in Triangle West and give you guys a written piece of information about that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Next up, I have Division 5. Good morning. Becca, here with us. She's not here in person. Okay. What about Division 7?
Good morning, everyone. This is Chatter McCoskey from Division 7. Nothing additional to report. Would just take note of our Division 7 project updates report. Let me know if you see anything that's not accurate, and let me know if you have any questions on anything.
Thank you. Division 8. Good morning.
Good morning, Brian Kluchar. There are no changes to the project update, and our Chatham County 15501 project will be rescored in P8, and those P8 scores will be available at the end of May. Be glad to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I have next up Transportation Planning Division. Good morning.
Morning, this is Julie. I wanted to let you know one update. NCDOT is starting to transition from the Office of Strategic Initiatives and Program Support to the newly established Office of Strategic Advancement, or OSA. The shift strengthens how NCDOT plans, prioritizes, and executes strategic department-wide work. So OSA is designed to be fast-acting and nimble and will focus on 3 key areas, which are innovation and technology adoption, performance and accountability, cross-functional initiatives. And Alpesh Patel has been appointed director of OSA. So he will be transitioning from Transportation Planning Division Director to that new position. And then joining him as Deputy Operations Director is Cameron McNeil. And that's all I have.
Thank you. And then is Brian Lopez with us from Integrated Mobility Division? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, next up, I need a motion to approve our consent agenda.
Second.
Yes.
I have a correction for the minutes. February minutes, line 261. There is a comment that is referred to as being from me. It was from actual council member Rist.
Sure you're correct.
That's in the February minutes. Okay, line's 261.
Okay, thank you. Can I had a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And then next up, I have item number 11, CMAQ application for the NSBRT. Good morning.
That's part of consent, yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Public hearing, federal certification review.
Good morning. Our Triangle West TPO is preparing to undergo our federal planning certification review. This is a process that happens every 4 years to ensure that we are in compliance with federal law. One, that is Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transit Administration will jointly review our program and evaluate our transportation planning process. Part of the federal certification review is that we hold a public hearing and invite residents and community members to speak and provide comments during the public hearing. So this is the opportunity for that public hearing ahead of our planning certification review. We will need a motion from the board to open the hearing, and then once we approve the comments, we will need a motion to close. And that is all.
Thank you.
I move to open the public hearing. A second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Good morning, Sally. Good morning, Matt. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries, and the public hearing is now open. I have several folks who are here to speak.
And comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, so we will be keeping time.
Okay, and do I have a timekeeper?
Me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. First person I have this morning is Kim Crossman.
Good morning, thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Good morning, you have 3
Tim
minutes.
Crossman, I live in Charlotte Harbors. So recently I was the president of the HOA of some 2,200 residents. I understand that the Campo proposed a freeway between Wake County and I-40, I-40. And I understand that the city of Durham has opposed that and proposed a boulevard with bike trails. Now, I used to ride 100 miles a week on my bicycle. I would no more commute down that road to downtown Durham than any of you would. I do ride around and I don't understand why a freeway is not possible. A parallel bike path is certainly reasonable, but to have a boulevard there with the traffic is already impossible. I go to Duke, obviously, like a lot of my fellow residents, go to Duke Hospital a fair amount. What should be a 20-minute trip coming back in the afternoon ends up being 45 minutes because of traffic light at Miami Boulevard. That needs to be a freeway as the Campo recommended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I have Herman Sperling.
I'm going to talk fast. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm Herman Sperling. I'm sorry.
I said good morning.
Okay, good morning. I live at 2628 Green Drive in Durham. I'm here to talk today about Highway 70. I'm the president of the Politics Club of Carolina Harbors, a 55 community of 2,100 voters, and the founder of the Leesville Road Coalition, with an addressable audience of nearly 5,000 and a resident of Durham. I'll not read this document testimony I submitted to the DCHC MPO in 23, as I was provided with a link where I have submitted that document. That document contains links to many different data points, which I'll address today. For some context, we're discussing only 4.1 miles within Durham County. This section will be bracketed by I-85 on one side and the Campo approved freeway plan between NC 540 and the Durham-Wake County line on the other. Neither of those sections include bike lanes or sidewalks to connect those advocated by the DCHC MPO. So the question is simple. Why should this small section of the same corridor have different requirements than the rest of the corridor? Second, the DCHC MPO promotion of a boulevard with sidewalks and bike lanes, but no provision for public transportation does not make any sense. If pedestrian traffic is truly a priority, why not propose it for Leesville Road rather than a corridor where vehicle exhaust will not serve public health? Third, we support the NCDOT freeway plan for several reasons. Reduced particulate and air pollution, support for the commercial vitality of downtown Durham, RTP and RDU, improve public safety, and to improve traffic capacity. The growth that in our area includes some 20,000 new homes that have been approved in Southeast Durham, along with a 304-acre mixed-use development near Leesville Road and Highway 70 that will include 1,750 additional homes. We held a public hearing on May 22nd at Carolina Harbors, attended by the Mayor of Durham, 3 members of City Council, NC State Senator, an NC House member, the Director of DCHC MPO, and representatives from NCDOT. The purpose of that meeting was simple, to contrast the 2 separate proposals. 2 moments from that recording that are available to you at minute 10, the MPO Director explained why the MPO dismissed the results of its own survey, which showed clearly public support for the NCDOT freeway plan proposed over the Boulevard alternative. At minute 42 second, an hour 42 of that same recording, the DCHC member acknowledged that they were listening to, quote, loud, organized voices, admittedly younger, who oppose the NCDOT plan. I trust you understand why statements like that create the appearance of discrimination for some members of my community. At this point, there are no concrete plans for public transportation in Southeast Durham, no approved plans of any kind for Highway 70. Meanwhile, development that adds traffic and consume land that could be needed for transportation improvements continue to be approved. Time is not our friend. I hope the people in this room will respect the documented will of the citizenry, value facts over volume, and avoid even the appearance of discrimination in the decision-making process.
Thank you.
Specifically, just one more second, I would ask that Sarah Young be approved from the planning department to run a small area study.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Next up, I have Ted Simpson.
I'll try to speak a little slower than Herman did. I also live in Carolina Harbors, and my concern is the accident potential that currently exists in that area between Briar Creek Parkway and G.W. Alexander, and then on moving on out to Leesville Road. It's the only place I use Waze all the time to navigate, as many of you do. This is the only place in this entire country that I've driven that gives me a warning to expect an accident on the 540 off ramp until I get past T.W. Alexander. And I think the freeway plan is certainly the best way to do that if we have adequate access from our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And Last I have William Smith. William Smith?
Yeah, I'll speak right here. I live in Carolina Arbor, and when I leave in the morning between 7 and 9, headed toward Durham, I get on Highway 70, and the traffic backs up at the red light at Miami Boulevard, anywhere from a half to 3/4 of a mile. You sit there 4 or 5 cycles of the light waiting for it to change, and it's just ridiculous how much the traffic is now. And with all the houses being built, it's only gonna get worse. So I hope that they will reconsider the boulevard and go with some kind of freeway. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the speakers that I have. So now I think I need to close the public hearing and I need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. And I think that is all that we needed to do today was hold the public hearing. So I'm moving us on to item number 13. Title 6 report.
Excuse me, can we have those?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Renee Moore. I am the principal planner with Triangle West TPO, and I am here to report on the 2026 Title VI plan. So today we're just going to cover some of our basics, the related plans that feed into the Title VI plan, and then also some of the procedures that are a part of the Title VI plan. And before we get into the details, I do want to remind everyone that our Title VI plans are produced based upon a template that is provided to us by the Office of Civil Rights with NCDOT. So a little bit of a background. The Title VI plans are required and based upon the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which basically just prohibits us from any sort of discrimination on the grounds of race, color, national origin, and national origin also extends in regards to language. And so you'll see the language access plan come up as well. So the last Title VI plan was previously adopted in 2019. We were called ECHC NPO at the time. We were also with the city of Durham at the time. And so this is an update to that plan following the guidance provided by NCDOT Office of Civil Rights. So ultimately what you'll see, and you've probably seen these before, when we started doing our rebrand process in January of last year, we started to update some of these assurances and also update some of these notice of non-discriminations that we publish in our meetings, we publish in our agenda packages. So you've probably seen all of this information before, but again, this will be included in our Title VI plan. Additionally, they require us to report on our organization and provide an organizational chart and where the Title VI coordinator or liaison falls within the organizational chart. I serve as our Title VI coordinator / liaison, and so here you can see the organization and you can see the number of staff that we have available for us. So the related plans that go into our Title VI plan include the public participation plan that we adopted in 2025 in the spring, which is a guide in regards to how we interact and engage with our public. So we updated that. We also updated the language access plan, which we adopted in 2025, and that allows us to identify people who are not proficient in the English language, and so we can improve our engagement processes and be able to make sure that we're reaching all of our community. And then lastly, you all have been seeing updates to our environmental justice report, which is open for public comment at this time. And again, for that plan, we identified our populations that experience the most transportation disadvantage. And that methodology was based upon NCDOT's Transportation Disadvantage Index that they also have published for the entire state. So most importantly, our procedures, these are the same procedures from our previous plan. This isn't anything that we've changed. Again, we're following the guidance that NCDOT has provided, but there is complaint and grievance procedures that must be followed. If anyone feels like there is an incident or discrimination, they have 180 days within the day of the incident to file a report to us. We will then reach out to them, request additional details within 10 days. We will inform them that we have received that report. We will share it with NCDOT, and then we will give them 15 days to give us any additional information that's requested, and then we will keep a log, or we do keep a log. Luckily, we haven't received any reports, but we keep a log of any sort of reports that we have received. So in regards to compliance and enforcement, there are some things that we're required to do, which includes conducting regular Title VI training for our staff. Our Title VI plan commits us to every 3 years. However, over the past few years, we've been doing training at least every single year in partnership with NCDOT. We address Title VI issues at our staff meetings. We participate or cooperate during compliance reviews if there are any. And then lastly, we ensure that our contractors and any of our consultants are also following the laws that are governed by the Title VI. And so with that, I want to thank you all for listening. And then lastly, today's action is to release this for a 30-day public comment period that will start tomorrow. It'll be open for 30 days. And so that way we can address any changes to the plan or address any comments that we receive on it. And thank you all.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Please go ahead, Commissioner Jenkins.
I just want to say I really enjoyed the maps. If anyone hasn't had a chance to look at this report yet, there's some really, really cool maps. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, they're really great. And the charts are good too. But I really liked seeing the information in the maps. It's great.
Thank you. Our action this morning is to release this for public comment. Second. Thank you, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Next up, I have our LIP methodology adoption.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Thank you, Planning Manager for Triangle West. And I am going to talk with you about the local input point methodology and what we heard during our public comment period. So brief overview of my presentation. I'm going to remind everyone about the schedules for statewide prioritization and approving the methodology. Talk a little bit about our local input point allocation process for SPOT. I'm going to touch on express design selection for P9 and share the public comments. All right. So this is the whole schedule for P8. We are a little over halfway through, so right around March, April timeframe. We are undergoing partner data review right now. So we have received a summary of all the data from SPOT, and we are taking a close look at it and have shared it with our members to look closely at their projects as well. At the end of this month, or actually April 1st, our local input point methodologies are due to the SPOT office. And as Brian Kluchar mentioned in the Division 8 report, we should be receiving the scores back for projects for both for statewide, regional, and division by the end of May, we are expecting. And so after that is when we will start assigning local input points to projects. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention, you see the kind of pistachio green color on the lines on this chart. Those are the deadlines for us to submit projects for NCDOT to perform an express design. So we have another submittal deadline coming up at the end of May. We will submit another 3 projects for DOT to look at for express design. And we have, and one of the updates to our local input point methodology was to establish how we would pick projects to send for express design. So I'll talk about that a little bit. Just as a quick reminder, back in January was when we first brought the local input point methodology to the TCN board, and it was released for public comment. This is your second review, and we are hoping today you will adopt our local input point methodology so we can send it to the SPOT office. And if needed, we can always adopt a revised local input point methodology in April, but I don't anticipate that. So as I previously mentioned, in May is when we expect to receive the results of the statewide prioritization for all projects that we've submitted. And all the other projects that were submitted across the state. In June, using this local input point methodology, we will be doing a draft local input point assignment to you all for approval. And then we will or we'll be working on that and release that for public comment. And then in August is when you will approve that local input points. So the regional tier and the division tier. The division tier is not anticipated to have much money this year. That all of the information we've been hearing from the state is showing us that there will be very limited financial capacity once we get down to the division tier, which is.
That's pretty standard, right?
Yes, well, it's not standard, but it was the case last round for spot. And that is the result of a lot of different things, project costs increasing and so on and so forth. So it is unfortunate. We should be hearing an actual financial report when we get those results at the end of May. So we will be sharing that with you all.
I'm just wondering if that is just our division or is it all divisions?
It varies by division. So it really depends on which projects are in which division. I'm looking at Matt Day because he is our resident spot expert. He sits on the spot work group. But each division has a slightly different financial capacity. Last round, there was, I think, a negative fund balance in Division 5, and we had some money in Division 7, but it started to decrease and decrease and decrease. I don't remember what Division 8 was like, but we do not have many projects at all in this division that we spot. Does that sound right now? Fairly accurate. As far as we know, we haven't gotten an updated report in about 6 months. But I know they're working on it hard behind the scenes. Okay, so our local input point allocation process. This is also kind of a reminder, but I know we have some new board members, so I'm gonna explain this a little bit more. The local input point assignment is our qualitative points that we add to the spot process. There are no local input points assigned at the statewide tier. We do assign local input points at the regional and division tiers. And we have some local input points assigned, and our highway division also assigns local input points. So we coordinate very closely with all 3 of our highway divisions as we're working through this step in the process. It's likely that if one of us, either our TPO or the highway division, does not assign local input points to a project, that it won't get funded in spot. And so if we have projects that are high priority for us that we think might get funded, that we communicate frequently with the highway division to share and make sure that we're both assigning points. One other thing I want to mention, in spot 6, there was a new rule that shared that we can move, because we get 2,000 points for each tier, regional and division. We can move some of the 500, up to 500 of those points from division to the regional tier, which we did during spot 7, because there was so little funding in the division tiers that we wanted to kind of front load everything in the regional tier. And it did result in us getting some transit projects funded. Okay. This is our criteria. This is almost exactly the same as it was for spot 7. You'll see in red is what has changed. Well, the purpose behind the criteria has not changed, but the language that we are using for it is a little bit different. So in the past, this first one was specifically assigning points that impact safety. Now that we have an adopted Vision Zero action plan, we have a high injury network. And so we're going to use that high injury network to determine if we're going to assign local input points to those projects. And then the criteria, this is our equity criteria. If a project supports underrepresented communities, areas of persistent poverty, and opportunity zones, we've added some of the language that this current presidential administration is using to talk about equity in there. So it kind of casts a broader net around that category. So projects can receive up to 7 points, and that gives them a rank in on our side where we decide which projects we're going to assign local points to. Each project can receive up to 100 points. As I mentioned, we have 2,000 points to allocate in the regional impact and 2,000 points to allocate in the division impact. Typically, we assign them accordingly. So on the regional side, 800 points go to highway, 500 points to public transit, and then 700 to IMO that we can shift between.
Go ahead, Sally.
On the previous slide, you mentioned that some language needed changed because of current administration, and I see a footnote 1 there, but I can't find the text to that footnote anywhere. I've skipped to the end of the presentation, it's not there.
It was just my specific language that I used at the time, just to move away from environmental justice, but in terms of meaning, it's similar.
Yeah, it's in the, it's actually, the footnote is within the methodology. I think we just copied this table over the methodology, so I apologize for that. Next time we'll make sure it ends up in the presentation. Don't be too confused.
Yeah, I understand that. I just wondered where the footnote was.
Yeah. But the terminology we used in spot 7 was simply underrepresented. So we've added some language.
Again, colleagues, so any project can receive up to, on that one on the previous slide, up to 7 points.
And on our side, we'll assign it up to 7 points. And then we come up with our ranked list, and each of the projects at the top of the list, we can assign up to 100 points to. I know this is very complicated. So you'll see what that list looks like. That's what we'll be bringing to you in June. And we get to assign local input points to any project that is in the TPO area, not just ones that we have submitted. So regional projects that are ones with us at Campo, projects submitted by the highway divisions, and so on.
So you're saying we're supposed to use these criteria to rank them, and then the ones with the highest 7-point rank should be the ones getting 100 or close to 100.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So just quickly on this slide, the division needs, we have more, that's where the bike ped projects are. They're not eligible for anything. They're not eligible for regional impact funding. So we assign 500 points for the bike ped mode, pulling that from the highway in the regional impact. And then we still have that 700 flex for any mode. Now we have, as I mentioned before, we have the ability to move 500 of those points up into the regional impact tier if we want to really bump up some additional projects, knowing that more funding is going to be available in that tier. So that's something that we can do, and we'll do that in June when we take a look at how our scores. Okay. Potential deviations from the process. We can deviate from this process for many reasons, and those are outlined here. I'm not going to go through all of them. I know you all can read, and these are specifically outlined in the methodology document. But essentially, if there's some reason that we don't want to assign local input points to a project, we cannot assign points to that. We just have to document that when we're doing the scoring and in June. Same vice versa. If we want to assign local input points to a project that didn't score well in our methodology, we can do that. We'll just document that we were doing it and why. We discussed this back in the fall. So the first time we submitted some projects for NCDOT to perform express designs, and we're already looking towards spot 9 now. So pretend like P8 is already over. This gives DOT some time staggered to get working on the express designs for P9. We've sent 3 projects in November to the spot office, or to the feasibility studies unit that works on these. And then we'll have 2 more opportunities to do that during the year. What we are recommending to add to the local input point methodology is, now that we have an adopted 2055 MTP, let's pull from that universe of projects, because some of these other spot projects have been around for a long time, and they might not be a priority for our community anymore. So simply selecting from the list that we submitted to P8 is probably not going to do enough for us. So we will review the 2055 MTP. These are only for highway projects, I will add, and add those to universal spot projects. We're also going to be looking at the projects we submitted for P8 that have not yet had an express design. And since we will know what the scores are, we do already know what the scores are for P7. And maybe we'll have them by the time we're doing this for the next round, but I expect we will not. So we'll use the P7 scores and then score them according to our local info point methodology. Right.
Go ahead, Wendy.
So Colleen, I'm assuming that this is in conversation with NCDOT.
Yes.
Because like, if they're not on board, it doesn't matter, basically, so.
That is an important step. So the express design is a process that they are running for us. They are paying for these. They're projects that, we select, but we work closely with our members and the highway divisions and feasibility studies to do the express design. But we have some great projects in the MTP, intelligent transportation system type projects that we think would score well in P9. So we'd like to have those.
Yeah, and just related to this, could you tell us how are we currently working with NCDOT and the other MPOs and RPOs, Campo, on the spot process that may be different than before?
Certainly. We work very closely with Campo as we're putting together our lists because there are many projects that overlap. Now, Campo, being a larger MPO, has more slots than we do. And so they will often submit projects on our behalf and same for the highway divisions. So the highway divisions typically have highway projects identified, but not necessarily transit or bike ped projects identified to submit. And so they have submitted, since we have plenty of transit and bike ped projects in our MPO area, they have often, in the past 2 rounds, have submitted projects on our behalf. So we're fortunate that our highway divisions, we're a good working relationship with them, I think right now, with staff to staff. And they essentially let us input the projects into the system, and they are the ones who hit the submit button. So all the details are provided by us and by our members. Now, express design is just for highway projects. So we will not do this for transit, bike ped, or rail projects. But I think hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
There's so much coordination that takes place during this process.
Go ahead, Carl.
Just a question. So I thought we were talking about adopting the methodology for spot 8.
Yes.
So how do we get to 9 here?
Because we are already picking express designs for 9. So
it's like a pre-list.
It is our pre-list. And if a project, this is a new rule in P9, is that almost all the projects we submit need to have an express design.
Just on the highway side?
Just on the highway side.
Of course.
Yeah. This is quick because we released the list, or we released our methodology for public comment, and we did not receive a single comment on this. I think we posted on social media. There's some documentation in your board package of where it was posted and what it was. This is a pretty technical thing that, and we haven't changed our methodology much from what we did last round. So no one was had any feedback for us. So we left it the same as what you saw in January. Okay, these are just extra slides, but the motion I'm seeking from you today is to approve the local input point methodology, and we will send it over to the spot office by April 1st.
Thank you. So I need a motion to adopt the LIP methodology.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Next up, I have the FY 2026 to 2035 TIP amendment number 2.
Is a two-year program of projects. It's a document that houses the creation of all projects in the state all nodes. And so whenever changes are needed for projects, whether there is change in funding or change in schedule, these are documented and it gets implemented. And so I'll be presenting our amendment number 2 today. On this amendment, only new project is a project article title. We're doing now improving for locations close to Hillsborough here. And then for the updates, there's updates here, initial funds for Orange County's operating assistance, as well as updating the year for the bus plan implementation in Carborough. And then different from when this was last presented in January is the addition of these projects. Two agencies area were awarded with community project funds, both handled with their mobility hub and town chocolate hub for the short form side pass. So they received additional discretionary funds that were over the program to do still. It did go out for a public comment period, 30 days to October, and we did not receive any comments. And so we are asking the board to approve the review evidence. Are there any questions?
Any questions this morning? Okay, so our action is to approve amendment number 2.
So moved.
I had a motion from Melissa and a second from Maribel, right? Yep. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next up, we have under our informational items, item number 16, SC data, Southeast data dashboard, or SC data, sorry, socioeconomic.
Morning.
Morning.
So the presentation is short hand. The 2055 Metro Transportation Plan was adopted last month. Together with NTP, we have a new triangle model and a set of socio-economic data for the project in the next 4 years. So based on the set of socioeconomic data, we developed a data dashboard for everyone to install the SE data conveniently. So the SE dashboard includes the data for 2020, 2035, 2045, and 2055. The data including demographic data and employment data. And there are some additional data, for example, income data and the percent of worker, percent of senior and children that's there. So the employment data is in a disaggregate format. It has the jobs by industrial, office, retail, and service. That's what we have for the economic data set and what we use for the SE dashboard. These are main menu of the dashboard. You can see it's not only for TPO area, also covers Campbell area and surrounding. So each county is use a single color there, showing there. And this main menu, which enable you select MPO. You can select by MPO, you can select by county. After you select MPO, it will show different color for the MPO area. Right now, the graph shows by county. So each county get a color showing there. And the summary data for for the county, it's showing there. This one is shows by household numbers. And you can select here right now it's 2055. You can select 2045, 35 as you want. So this is the menu with household data. And the other sub buttons is a household population, jobs, TAZ2, income, and other data. So these are examples. If you only select the county which attached to the TPO, so that's a county we select, and you can get highlight data in the table on the menus there. So grocery, population, household, business household. So you can do some selections if you want. If you want only do partials of a county, then you have to go to the traffic analysis zones tools. So selection option is there.
Hold on real quick, we have a question. Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that last column is percent change. This is what it looks like. I haven't taken out my calculator. But each of these needs to be able to stand on its own, given that it's probably going to be captured and used in presentations. And it would be helpful if that was appropriately labeled as percent change sits whenever.
Okay, okay. The name of this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this one is mentioned is traffic analysis on tools. It enable you to go to the details. The SE data basic geographical units is traffic analysis zone. We call it TAZ or path. So this one we take an example, select US 70 in Durham County. The highlight TAZ are selected. So after you select under the TAZ2 menus, you get the information for each path. So the graphic bar shows amount of SE data. For example, this one shows household, and this one shows population. This one shows industrial jobs. So longer bar shows more high number, and the lower bar shows less numbers. The other table down there, it shows detail select zones. And also you get total. So for example, you have a study area, either in downtown or somewhere, you can select all the paths related to that downtown, and then you will get the summary data for household, population, and jobs automatically after your selection of. This is examples for the US 70 area.
Getting paid on that. So what are the numbers there? The 444, 44, like what are those numbers represent?
This number?
That first column there.
Yeah.
No, the first column.
Yeah. This is task ID. So each geographical unit has a identification number. So we call it TAZ. TAZ ID. So
what's 444 then?
444. So if you have mouse, you move over this, it will show you the ID of this TAZ. For example, move over this TAZ, it will show you what ID it has there.
So you're saying the ID for that Highway 70 TAZ.
Small units.
Oh, it's a small unit within the TAZ.
Yeah. And you see communities.
So what are they called?
Yeah, we call it ID, but it's not a name. It's just identification. We want to identify, make sure this is the ID there, and we can connect with other data set. So that's all.
But what's the basis for picking those IDs within the TAZ? Was that like a geographic size, or is that sort of popular? Like, how do you choose that IDs within the TAZs?
It's just a naming. The technical people giving it to it. It's not related to the size. It's not related to the number of points inside. It's just internal ID. So it's assigned, the system automatically assign ID from the software package. We did.
How do you use it?
So we use it, for example, we have this ID here. If we want to get a hospital data, we join with SE data. So SE table has this ID in SE table as well. So we can connect. So for example, if we have a bus stop inside, it's not a good example here, maybe there are bus stop inside, we can aggregate all the bus stop to these units with this ID to show the people how many ride trips there. So it's just a functional identification numbers for these units. It doesn't carry any means there. It's just an ID.
Okay, thank you.
So after you select, as I mentioned, it's automatically summary the data for you. So if you have a study or you have a in-market impact study, you have a large sub-area study or corridor study, you can select the zones there and get the numbers. So other data we have, as mentioned earlier, we have employment data, we have demographic data, and associated with demographic data, we have a percent of child, percent of worker, percent of seniors there. And also we have income, average income for each traffic analysis zone there. So that's overall the data set and dashboard. We will do a final checking all the data and incorporate the comments we received to refine this draft final. Right now it's draft final data, and then after we finalize it, we will publish on the TPO website. That's what we plan to do. We did this last time for 2050 MTP in 2021 or 2022. So originally the tool is a part for the triangle regional model, TRM. So after it was published at the university, and we thought it's very useful for us and for our agency members. So last time we started to publish this tool on our website, and this time we get the NCDOT staff develop dashboard into the TWTPO account. We have account now. So into our account and publish in our account and then connect with our website. So that's what we are doing for this dashboard. Hope it helps for the work. That's all for the presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions?
So,
Go ahead, Carl, and then
yes.
Wendy.
So this data is all included in the MTP, right? What you've done here is just you've created a dashboard to make it more accessible to residents, to folks in the area. So, so that's not live yet.
It's live. The dashboard is live as a draft final. But
you can't get it
to the MTP website, it will be real final.
Right. So it's not, so you can't get on the MTP website. You can't see this right now.
Yeah, no, not on the MTP side. It's post MTP products. We call it.
Okay. So you'll let us know when that goes public. Okay. It's a great tool. Thank you.
Thank you. Good, Wendy.
I'm just wondering, I don't know if we've done this in the past, but this information could be very useful to just each of our local governments. And I'm wondering what would be the best way for this to be shared directly with staff, whether it's city or county managers, or I just want to hear what thoughts people had about how, when it is finalized, what would be the best way to make sure it does get directly shared appropriately.
We talked about it in our meeting yesterday for agenda prep for this with the City of Durham transportation staff to figure out how to have this information live on the city's website, so that way people could come, because we think it's a really useful tool. And so we did already talk to our staff about when it's finalized and ready for public consumption, to have that living on City of Durham. So that would be my suggestion for others, but folks can have their conversations with their staff. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. we were just going to receive the presentation since it's an informational item. And then finally, we have strategic plan implementation dashboard. Good morning.
Good morning. I also have a team online. This will be starting off presentation today. He is here.
Oh, from Holland.
Thanks, Samad. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
10-4. I'll take that as a yes. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Drew Finley. I'm a senior project manager with FountainWorks. Really excited to continue our various pieces of work with you all. Today, what we're going to be talking about is an overview of the strategic plan dashboard that Samad and I have been working on together over the past couple months. And as you know, we as FountainWorks have done several different engagements with you all and have some coming up in the future. And this was yet another example of how much I really enjoy and love working with your staff. Samad really did an excellent job of championing this and getting input across different parts of the organization. So this dashboard is focused on implementation of the strategic plan. As you see at the bottom there, all of these purpose elements support strategic plan implementation, which really is important. And I'll give you a statistic in a moment that will show you how important that is. But I'll be teeing this up in terms of why we chose to do this dashboard, the purpose of it, the importance of it, and then Samad is going to walk you through the details of what's in it. So the statistic that I wanted to share is that there was a nationwide study conducted a couple of years ago on strategic plans across all industries, so not just government, but what they found is that 83% of the organizations that were included in that study, which was like 20,000 organizations, 83% of them completed less than 25% of their organizational strategy that they had outlined. So the strategic plan process that we went through with you all is very important, but implementation is equally key to make sure that we follow through and make sure that those goals happen. And so this dashboard is going to provide an organized framework for tracking the success measures that we worked with you all over several meetings to develop and refine. It's going to translate the goals that are in the strategic plan that are higher level and don't necessarily have measurements attached to them. It's going to translate those into measurable indicators that you all can track over time and aligns with everything that you all do as an organization, being data-driven to inform your decision-making. So backing what you're doing, not just with intuition, but with data as well. And another big piece that we see, as you all know, we as FountainWorks work a lot on strategic planning for various types of clients. There can be a phenomenon called phantom owners of strategic initiatives. And basically what that means is that when everybody's responsible for implementing the strategy, it can sometimes mean that nobody ends up doing it. And so what this dashboard does, and Samad will show you in a moment, is outline different folks and different teams that are going to be responsible for tracking these different indicators so that there's more alignment among staff, there's more transparency about who's responsible for tracking what and maintaining that accountability. So that's what this dashboard will do as well. And finally, it also makes this process a little more simple and streamlined when it comes to status reporting. What we see a lot is that reporting on implementation of strategic plans can be difficult if you don't have a framework in place to do it in an organized way. So that's what this dashboard is aiming to do. And as I mentioned again, all of this goes back to supporting you all as you now move into implementing the strategic plan and carrying out the goals that are outlined in it. So with that, I'll pass it over to Samad to walk you through some of the details.
Cool. Thank you, Drew. So couple of things to highlight before we get started. As a reminder, there were 6 goals in the strategic plan. We're going to go through them kind of one by one. This is really to provide actionable data for you guys to be able to look at when making TPO board decisions, when going back to your own boards and making land use decisions, that kind of stuff. So because of that, if any of these metrics don't seem like they'd be helpful for you and your job, we want to make sure that we are adjusting them to make them as helpful as possible. The second thing is there is going to be a lot of numbers that we're going to be putting into this dashboard, but we also want to make sure that that's being accompanied by a lot of context and qualitative data to kind of get a really good picture of what the TPO is doing on this dashboard. So I'll start with strategic plan goal 1 and 2. Goal 1 is to evaluate the state of infrastructure repair and maintenance. Here we're going to be putting together a map, hopefully getting all of this data through NCDOT and our partner organizations. That's going to look at the state of repair, state of maintenance for all of our roads and bridges across the Triangle West region, and how often they're being repaired, the current level of maintenance that we have for all of our bridges, what might need to be replaced and when. And we're hoping to kind of organize all of this data into one place that's using the same format across all of our jurisdictions. For goal 2, which is fulfilling our required functions, the key thing here is we have a lot of stuff that we submit either to NCDOT, to federal government, plans that need to be updated on time. So we're going to be tracking, are these materials such as reimbursement packets, TIP amendments, those kinds of things, getting to where they need to be on time? And if not, what is causing the backlog? Is that an issue with a invoice coming in late? Is it an issue with we have to adjust something after it was initially submitted due to a mistake? What caused any sort of lapse in these reimbursements or other packets, and really making sure that we are addressing those so we're not repeating mistakes if they do occur. Other thing there is the fund balance progress. We're trying to have a 6-month budget balance, as you guys have been talking about over the last couple of months. So we're going to be tracking how much money is in that fund balance, and whether or not we are at our target, or how long it's going to take at current levels of adding to that balance until we get to there. Planning functions completed on time. Did we complete the MTP on time? Yes, cool. If we didn't, that's a problem. So we should probably be tracking why that's not happening. And then federal certification, that's just kind of an up or down. If we're not federally certified, that is a big problem, but hopefully that's what's just gonna say yes. For goals 3 and 4, goal 3 is strengthen collaboration with partners. We want to track kind of on a quarterly basis. As part of the NCDOT reimbursement packets, all the staff will go in and write out this narrative of the work that we've done over the last quarter. So we're hoping to kind of utilize that to also track partnerships that were formed and strengthened. Something like the work I've been doing with Drew would go on there. If we work with NCDOT on something like the socioeconomic data dashboard, strengthening partnerships across organizations, with y'all's staff at the municipalities, and even out in the community with community groups. Similar thing with documenting our data sharing. Any sort of data that we're putting out there, we want to make sure that we're tracking who that's going to, and how many people are accessing it, when the last time it's been updated, that kind of stuff. And the third one on here, convening regular member meetings. We want to be meeting with you, we want to be meeting with your staff. So we're going to be tracking how often we're doing that and when the next planned meeting is going to be. Goal 4 is in kind of a little bit of flux. We're still trying to really nail down a legislative dialogue plan. That's something that Doug has been working on. But right now we've got establishing a unified lobbying effort, goals and a timeline for what that's going to look like, and tracking the policy updates that we're communicating out to you guys, the actions that are being requested, and any outcomes that might be happening on that. 4, 5, and 6. This has been something that the TPO has been trying to do for a long time. Public input is going to be a really important tool in doing that because it allows us to track where and who is responding to our online surveys in a really robust way that we didn't have previously, down to like the zip code or even the street level if we wanted to. So yearly or quarterly, we're going to be providing both a map of where we are receiving feedback from and who is giving us that feedback based off of demographic data that we'll be tracking via online surveys. But we also recognize that online surveys are not the only way that we engage with the public. So as part of that quarterly reporting packet, we're also going to be requesting that staff list out any in-person engagement events that they attended along with the locations so we can put where across our region that we are engaging and meeting with people across all the different range of special studies that we work on, or even non-TPO studies that we might be moving out. And finally, transportation system resiliency. So on the organizational resiliency, we're also going to, the fund balance shows up again. For transportation system resiliency, we're going to be looking into greenhouse gas emission reduction in the Triangle West area. That's something that the modeling team does kind of track already. So we're going to be working to do that in a kind of publicly accessible way. These are our 6 goals. I'm happy to have any questions, comments, discussion about this. For goal 6 in particular, Drew and I spent a lot of time talking about different ways that we could do this. This isn't something that the TPO is currently doing a really robust job of tracking. So we'd like to know what kind of metrics you guys would want to see as we, in the future, we might be doing a resiliency plan. There was a grant application that we were going to put out there, but then it got rescinded. But as part of that resiliency plan, there might be additional metrics that we can start tracking. Yes.
I'd like to see mode share and vehicle miles traveled.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I just really appreciate this, and the original point about how many strategic plans are created and then not actually implemented. So I'm so thankful that this is happening. There was just one small question, detail, one place where you call leadership and another place you put leadership team. So are those the same thing? And if so, I would use the same wording, or if they're different, then.
Yeah.
Like convene regular meetings as leadership, and under track policy updates communicated to partners, it says leadership team.
So leadership team, I think it's mostly the same thing. I would say with the leadership team in particular, that's mostly referring to the executive director, whereas convene regular meetings, that's going to be the full scope of the leadership team, including Colleen, Doug, and
so they're slightly different.
Slightly different.
But you guys know, again, up to the accountability of who is the person doing it, you all know what the difference is between those two.
Yeah, as this gets actually built out, we'll be assigning specific people for reporting. Right now, this is just kind of a who might be assigned that.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. And then we just have articles and updates under item 18, and that is all that we have before us. I think, is the date on our agenda incorrect? It says Tuesday, April 7th. I know we moved the April meeting to a different date, but on the invite that we got from staff, it's the 21st.
Yes, it was the 21st.
Okay, I saw that and I was like, okay. So just a reminder to board members that the date in April is off by, it's not off, but it's earlier by a week, I should say. So April 21st at 9 a.m. instead of April 28th. And then we will not be having that joint meeting on what would have been the 29th. And then finally, just for anyone interested, the North Carolina Association of NPO annual conference is May 6th through 8th in Asheville. That is all that we have before us. Go ahead, Carl.
Sure, there's one thing on recent articles. I did send that article to my Durham colleagues and also just sent it to Doug to net.
I already sent it to Doug.
Yeah, so there was a meeting yesterday of a House Select Committee on North Carolina's transportation future. Again, Doug, if you'd send that around to the whole NPO board. That was a meeting where there was discussion about the STI law, concern about is our transportation funding mechanism working or not working. So Doug and I talked about it this morning. Not clear if that's sort of really, they may only meet once now, but it is a conversation happening at the state level about these funding sort of formulas. It's worth us tracking that and being aware of that.
Thank you.
I'm wondering between all jurisdictions who has representatives on transportation. So for us, it's Zach Hawkins.
He's quoted in the article, yeah.
Right. I don't know who else is
Natalie
on.
Murdoch does a lot.
And Natalie Murdoch. I think it would be good for Doug to know and get connected directly to any of our House members and
State senators?
States, yeah, state, House and Senate, state representatives that are doing are in transportation for some of this stuff.
I want to say Meyer was on minority transportation, but that's.
True.
Yeah.
Well, then whoever's name.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that has representatives?
Not from
Wendy,
Orange.
this is Lisa Mathis. You might also want to include Valerie Fouché on the congressional level because she's on transportation.
Great point. Thank you.
Oh, and so is not. It goes around Wake County and touches a little bit of us. Transportation.
Is that all? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.